You grip the steering wheel of the unmarked white Peterbilt until your knuckles turn the color of bleached bone. The digital clock on the dash glows with a harsh, unforgiving red. 3:14 a.m. Outside the reinforced windshield, the Nevada desert is a void, an endless ocean of black scrub brush and cracked earth under a moonless sky. You are driving down State Route 375, the so-called extraterrestrial highway. It is a joke to you now, a pathetic tourist trap designed to sell cheap plastic green men and overpriced burnt coffee to gullible road trippers in rented RVs. You pass a rusted speed limit sign covered in faded alien stickers, and a bitter, hollow laugh catches in your dry throat. Those tourists look up at the night sky, their cameras ready, hoping for a flashing light. Suicho hoping for a grand revelation that humanity is not alone in the universe. But you never look up anymore. You look straight ahead at the twin beams of your halogen headlights cutting through the suffocating darkness, because you know the absolute crushing truth. The real secrets aren't falling gracefully from the stars in silver saucers. They are being hauled over cracked asphalt in the reinforced, climate-controlled 53-foot trailer currently hitched to your cab, groaning under the immense weight of highly classified cargo. And you are the mule. You are the faceless, nameless driver feeding the endless, hungry abyss of Groom Lake. You didn't start out wanting to be a ghost. You were just a guy with a commercial driver's license, a clean criminal record, and a desperate need to clear a mountain of debt. You drove lumber out of Oregon, auto parts out of Detroit, frozen beef out of Texas. You were a master of the highway, a king of the open road. Then came the recruitment. It didn't happen in a smoky back room. It happened via a sterile email offering a government logistics contract. The base salary was staggering. Triple what you made on your best year, with bonuses that looked like typographical errors. But the vetting process was an agonizing psychological vivisection. You remember the windowless rooms in federal buildings. The polygraph wires taped to your sweating skin, reading your heart rate, your respiration, your deepest anxieties. They didn't just ask if you were a foreign spy. They asked about your internet search history from a decade ago. They asked if you ever harbored resentments against authority. They asked about your sister's gambling problem and your father's bankruptcy. They mapped every vulnerability in your psyche, ensuring that you had enough to lose, making absolutely certain that you could be controlled. When you finally signed the non-disclosure agreement, it wasn't just a contract. It felt like signing away the rights to your own soul. The fine print didn't threaten you with a lawsuit. It implicitly threatened you with federal prison, or worse, a quiet, undocumented disappearance. The machinery of this underworld is brilliantly, terrifyingly mundane. You don't pick up the cargo at a heavily guarded military fortress. You pick it up at a nondescript beige warehouse in an industrial park in Henderson, right outside Las Vegas. There are no armed soldiers at the loading dock. It's just men in cheap polo shirts and khaki pants who move with a precise, lethal efficiency that betrays their military background. They don't speak to you. You don't speak to them. You back the rig up, kill the engine, and hand over your biometric ID card. You sit in the cab while they load the trailer. The suspension groans. Sometimes it's heavy, settling the truck deep onto its axles. Sometimes it's impossibly light, as if you are transporting empty air. Sometimes in the dead of winter, the refrigeration unit kicks on so hard it vibrates your teeth, maintaining a temperature well below freezing. You don't look in the rearview mirrors during the loading process. Looking is a violation. Curiosity is a fireable offense, and in your line of work, being fired means becoming a permanent security risk. They seal the doors with tamper-evident. Cryptographic locks slap the side of the trailer twice and hand your ID back. That is your cue to vanish into the night. The drive is an exercise in supreme psychological endurance. The radio in your cab is disabled. You are strictly forbidden from bringing personal cell phones, smartwatches, or even a digital music player into the vehicle. You are allowed a thermos of coffee and the agonizing silence of your own thoughts. A camera mounted on the dashboard tracks your eye movements, ensuring you don't fall asleep, ensuring you don't pull over unauthorized, ensuring you don't panic. As you leave the public highways and turn onto the unmarked dirt roads leading toward the restricted zone, the illusion of the free world falls away completely. You cross the invisible threshold. The warning signs appear, stark white with bold red lettering. Authorized by the McCarran Internal Security Act, promising the use of deadly force against trespassers. This is where the paranoia usually begins to curdle in your stomach. Up on the surrounding ridges, barely visible in the darkness, you know they are watching, the camo dudes. Private security contractors in unmarked white Ford Raptors equipped with thermal optics and heavy weaponry. They parallel your route, ghosting you through the desert. You are on their team, supposedly, but they look at your truck the way a predator looks at a wounded animal. If you get a flat tire, you do not exit the cab. You hit the emergency beacon on your dash and you wait, hands clearly visible on the steering wheel, while heavily armed men approach your vehicle to assess the situation. You're completely at the mercy of a system that views you as a biological component necessary to move a machine, a component that can and will be violently replaced if it malfunctions. The descent into the facility itself is the most surreal part of your existence. You crest the final mountain pass, and there it is, Groom Lake. It doesn't look like a sci-fi movie. It looks like a sprawling industrial cancer metastasizing across the dry lake bed. Massive, brutalist hangars, blinding banks of halogen lights, and an endless grid of tarmac. The scale of it crushes the breath out of your lungs. You approach the final security checkpoint. Men in full tactical gear and suppressed rifles approach the cab. They use mirrors to check the undercarriage. They run radiation detectors and chemical sniffers over the trailer. A handler walks a bomb-sniffing dog around the tires. The silence during this process is deafening, broken only by the harsh crackle of encrypted radios. You roll down the window, and the dry, freezing desert air floods the cab, carrying the faint, acrid smell of aviation fuel, ozone, and something else. Something metallic and sharp that you have never been able to identify. You hand over your manifest. The guard checks your face against a ruggedized tablet. His eyes are dead, entirely devoid of humanity. He nods, steps back, and the massive, reinforced steel gate slowly slides open. You drive the truck into the belly of the beast. You are directed to a specific subterranean loading bay. The ramp spirals downward, deep into the earth, the concrete walls illuminated by flickering fluorescent tubes. When you finally park, the unloading process begins. Men in pristine white hazmat suits or heavy, lead-lined aprons emerge from the sterile corridors. They attach umbilical cables to the trailer before unlocking it. You sit in your cab, staring straight ahead at the concrete wall, your hands gripping the wheel. You hear the pneumatic hiss of the doors opening. You hear the clatter of forklifts. Sometimes you hear strange hums, low-frequency vibrations that rattle the loose change in your cup holder and make your teeth ache. Once, just once, you heard a sound that defied description. A resonant, agonizing screech that sounded like tearing metal and dying animals, quickly silenced by a heavy thud. You didn't blink. You didn't flinch. You stared at the concrete wall, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. And you repeated your mortgage balance in your head over and over until the terror subsided. The trap you are in didn't snap shut all at once. It tightened slowly, imperceptibly, until you couldn't breathe. It happened in the quiet moments of your civilian life. You realize you are a prisoner of the secrets you don't even know. You live in a nice house in a gated community in Summerlin, paid for by your exorbitant salary, but it feels like a mausoleum. You can't talk to your neighbors. When they ask what you do, you say logistics for a mining company. You see their eyes glaze over with boredom, and you feel a sickening surge of alienation. You are entirely disconnected from the human race. You can't complain about your boss. You can't vent about a bad day at work. Your wife left you 3 years ago because she couldn't handle the distance, the way you would wake up screaming in the middle of the night, drenched in cold sweat, refusing to tell her what you dreamed about. How could you tell her? You dreamed about the white trucks. You dreamed about a scratched cryptographic seal on the trailer door and a dark room where men with no names asked you questions with pliers and jumper cables. The paranoia is a physical weight, a constant pressure at the base of your skull. It follows you to the grocery store. When a black SUV stays behind you for more than 3 turns, your heart rate spikes, your vision narrows, and you memorize its license plate, even though you know the plate is likely fake. When your home phone line clicks with a microsecond delay before connecting, you know they are logging your calls. They own you. The money is spectacular, but it is blood money, hush money, an anchor dragging you into a dark, suffocating ocean. You thought about quitting once. You drafted a resignation letter. But then you remembered the briefing, the subtle reminder that individuals with your level of clearance who suddenly separate from the program require intensive long-term monitoring to ensure the security of the nation. You realized that quitting wouldn't make you free. It would just make you a target. You are a liability the moment you stop being useful. So you tore up the letter, flushed it down the toilet, and went to bed, dreading the alarm clock that would summon you back to the desert. Now as you sit idling in the subterranean bay, waiting for the green light to signify the trailer is empty, you look at your reflection in the darkened side window. You look 10 years older than you are. Your eyes are bloodshot, ringed with deep purple exhaustion. Your skin is pale, starved of sunlight. You are a biological component, slowly wearing out, approaching the end of its operational lifespan. The green light flashes on the control panel. The unloading is complete. A man in a dark suit taps the side of your cab, the universal signal to get the hell out. You shift into gear, release the air brakes with a loud hiss, and begin the long, slow climb back up to the surface. You will drive the empty trailer back to the warehouse in Henderson. You will park the rig, hand over the keys, and drive your civilian car back to your silent, empty house. You will drink 3 fingers of cheap bourbon to numb the buzzing in your head. Downed, and you will lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the phone to ring with your next assignment. You don't know what you are feeding to the abyss, but you know the abyss is never full. It will keep eating the cargo, it will keep eating the secrets, and eventually, when you can no longer grip the wheel, it will eat you too. You look at the road ahead, swallowed by the darkness, and you push the accelerator down. Miles of black asphalt. Miles of nothing. You are a ghost, haunting the highway, forever driving into the dark. This is all for today. The story you just heard is fiction, but the reality of highly cleared logistics drivers who move classified assets happens every single day. If this story made you think, leave a comment below telling me what your biggest takeaway was. Subscribe so you don't miss the next stories from the Underworld. Until next time.